Good evening, everybody. Welcome to season 2, episode 10 of the Small Talk podcast with co-hosts Marlene Sharp and Chris Pomay here on this Friday, November 1st, 2024. And in case I didn't talk to you guys yesterday, I hope everybody had a great, happy Halloween. I did surprise candy for the kids yesterday, but unfortunately, I did not get anybody here at all. So I'm excited to do episode 10 with Marlene tonight. Season 2, and I'm going to bring on my co-host Marlene Sharp. We're having some technical difficulties on my Instagram feed, so hopefully we can get the Instagram feed up. I want to say thank you to everyone watching this live stream on audio feeds and also on WQEE 99.1 FM. And I'm going to bring on my awesome co-host Marlene Sharp.
Hi,
evening,
Chris.
Marlene. How are you doing?
Happy post-Halloween, pre-Dia de los Muertos. I think that's tomorrow, the 2nd of November. Anyway, happy holidays, because we're in Christmas season 2.
And how was your Halloween, and did you have a lot of kids come by your house?
No, I live in a condo complex, and so there aren't a lot of kids around here. There are a lot of dogs, but we didn't see any costuming dogs yesterday, which is sad. Some Halloweens we do get a lot of costume wearing dogs, but not this time. It was pretty low key. It was a pretty low key Halloween, which is fine. We're happy for stable quiet too.
That's okay too. And I'm looking forward to our guest tonight. And since you were nice enough to get him on, would you like to announce who our special guest is for episode 10 tonight?
Yes, it's Jason Weissbrod of Spectrum Laboratory and so many other things. But he will have a lot of things to say about his creation, Spectrum Laboratory, and all the things that he's been doing with this very special group of performers and musical artists, actors, creative artists, visual artists, and so forth. But it's, yes, my friend and collaborator, Jason Weissbrod, is our guest.
Before we bring Jason on, how did you end up meeting Jason and Garth? So
I have a fast and furious background with the autism community, as I think you know. 4 years ago, I started working with, quite by accident, actually, I started working with an autism nonprofit in Los Angeles called the Center for Learning Unlimited, teaching adults on the autism spectrum about careers in animation. So I have a background in animation and merchandise-driven entertainment, like your favorite nerd brands, Sonic the Hedgehog, Power Rangers, things like that. So anyway, I was recruited by this program to jump into their animation instruction to help, the third-year students with what to expect after graduation. And I didn't really know anything about autism, but I did know something about animation. So I started working with this group of very talented artists on the autism spectrum. And then we ended up opening a studio for the artists after they graduated. So the studio is called Brainstorm Productions. And then through working with the school and the studio for the last 4.5 years, I was fortunate to meet so many other people in the performing arts autism space in Los Angeles, which is a considerable community, especially here in Los Angeles. There are a number of training programs for folks on the spectrum, especially if they are interested in animation or video game design or voiceover, on-camera performance, filmmaking, and those types of things. So Jason and I got to know each other by participating in the Autism in Entertainment Conference, which was back in April 5th. And Jason has a nonprofit that trains folks on the spectrum, more or less, for careers in the performing and visual arts. And he also produces shows, both live stage shows. Yes, and Blanche is also very, very outspoken on this topic too, as you can hear. But Jason will be telling us about the live productions that he does with Spectrum Laboratory, as well as film and all kinds of other things. He's got a lot of new initiatives that have been implemented this year and going into the next year. And Spectrum Laboratory is celebrating its 10-year anniversary in 2025. So lots to get to.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And let's bring on Jason right now. Hey, Jason, how you doing?
Welcome.
Guys,
Hey.
one lesson. I apologize for that. I normally have my cell phone on silence or vibrate, and unfortunately, I forgot to do that.
No, that was my theme
So I
music. That was my
apologize
intro
for that.
music. I appreciate it. I like.
Oh,
the
I'm a
intro.
huge Magnum PI fan. So
Nice. Hello, how's it going? Welcome. Thanks
Hey,
for having me.
welcome. Well,
Yeah.
Jason, we're so happy to have you here. And I'm thinking the first thing we should do is to have you explain this colorful background, which matches your shirt, so that people know what they're looking at.
This was the t-shirt that we had for our big Spec-O-Ween event. It was a big Halloween annual show we do. And it's a live event at the Barnsdall Gallery Theater in Hollywood. It's up on the hill of a park, 300-seat theater, and you can see the Hollywood sign and the Griffith Park Observatory, and it's a gorgeous spot.
awesome.
We had a big event where a bunch of our autistic and neurodivergent performers were in bands singing songs. We had an improv comedy team doing improv comedy. We did some SNL sketch type stuff. And yeah, we just had a good show. And this design that's on my shirt and in the background was created by the amazing Jorge Gutierrez, who is the creator and animator of The Book of Life and Maya and the Three, and started in Nickelodeon with El Tigre. But yeah, Jorge is amazing. He designed our poster and t-shirt. And yeah, we had a wonderful live event, and that was to celebrate us, Halloween, but also celebrate us going into our 10th year of Spectrum Laboratory next year for 2025.
Congratulations. And I wanted to ask you this, and I'll let Marlene get her words in too, is how did you come up with Spec-O-Ween, and what's it been like getting sponsors and stuff aboard this as well?
Yeah, so Spec-O-Ween, actually, what's funny is in our first year in 2015, we wanted to do a Halloween show, and we did it as a radio play where we had scripts in hands, and we kind of did this like radio play, and we had all original music, and we did this whole thing called Stanley's Cure for Fear. And we actually have the CD available. It's online somewhere. Stanley's Cure for Fear under Spectrum Laboratory on Spotify or wherever you get music. But you can listen to our.
Is it Stanley?
Stanley
Kubrick?
was J. Atticus Jackson played Stanley, and we had about like 18 performers in that show.
Whoa!
We had like 15 original songs. There was a song called Snake Monster featuring Lucas Salewski and Rio Soul Shaka Wiles. We had hip hop, we had funk, we had rock and roll. I think there was even a country number in it. I mean, it was a pretty crazy show. But so we started Spec-O-Ween in 2015, and we, came from Spectrum Laboratory and Halloween. We put it together in Spec-O-Ween. Ween is also one of my favorite bands of all time. So I was very much like, I wanted to be like Spec-O-Ween. I also love the band Ween. Very abstract band, but so if you know it, you know. If you know, you know. And then, yeah, so that was our first year, and then we didn't do it again for like 7 years later. Garth and I were like, hey, let's do another Spec-O-Ween. And 3 years ago, we did our second one at a beautiful spot called The Forge in LA. Then last year, we did it at Barnsdall, and we got Tom Kenny, who's the voice of SpongeBob SquarePants. He has a band called Tom Kenny and the High Seas, and they're amazing. They're like a doo-wop band, and they came and they performed a bunch of Halloween tunes. So they performed with us last year, and then this year we had our own bands and our improv comedy team perform, and Jorge designed our poster. So it just keeps growing, and it's more and more fun every year. But yeah, as far as like, getting it going, it's just our community is growing. And so as far as like sponsors and stuff like that, we just kind of like build it together as a community. Yes, it'd be great to get sponsors and we should be better at it, but we didn't actually have any official sponsors this year. Maybe next year, but yeah, we just kind of bring the community together and just throw an awesome show.
I'm going to have to come out to California. I've never been to California, never been on a plane, but I really would like to try to come out to your event next year.
Yeah. Well, next year in summer, we're doing our big 10-year anniversary show, a big Spec Fest. So more to come on that. We're not sure exactly how that's going to go down, but I'm sure it'll be epic. Yeah. Oh, I can't hear you, Marlene.
Marlene, you're muted yourself. It happens. I've done it to be the best of us do it.
I was just complimenting the show. Specoween 2024 was a night to remember, and then some. It was really outstanding, and such a wide variety of talent was showcased. There were people playing instruments, of course, and singing, and then sketch comedy and extemporaneous speech, and even the culinary talents of parents and friends, baked goods and beautiful things being sold in the lobby. So it was like an embarrassment of riches all the way around.
One of our performers just said hi to us from last night, 2 nights ago. Caroline Corey's out there. Hey, Caroline Corey sings some songs. She sang Spooky, Scary Skeletons, and she did an amazing rendition of Where Is My Mind, and Caroline hit the I just butchered it. The high voice part and the Where Is My Mind. I don't know. Caroline, if you were on, you should do it for us, but yeah. Caroline.
Maybe we'll have Caroline on as her own show one day. We'll have an episode with just Caroline, because she's an amazing actress, very talented musical theater character actress, voiceover actor as well. Yeah. So,
and actually, if anybody's in Los Angeles, next Saturday, November 9th, Caroline is in a short film called The Benchwarm Nerds. And it's showing at Regal Cinemas at downtown in LA Live.
Really?
We just found out at 5:30 p.m., part of the LA Live Festival. 5:30 short film block. Michelle Murad is the curator. So if you go to LA Live Fest, look at 5:30 film block. Caroline is in a short film called The Benchwarm Nerds, which I'm really proud of. And that's going to be screening next Saturday, November 9th at 5:30 p.m., which you'll be able to find out information if you jump on our website or message Spec Labs.
.org.
We'll be putting up some social media posts about that soon.
Okay, that's tremendous. Congratulations.
That's awesome.
Yes.
SpecLabs.org. I have the website right there on my ticker.
I see it.
That's awesome. And Caroline is so enthusiastic about this episode. And Marlene definitely will have to have her on in the future. Wanted to ask you this. How long was the event time-wise, and how much work was it for you and Garth and the others to put this together?
It was a 2-hour show. And it was a lot of work. I mean, basically, I started rehearsing with the improv and sketch comedy team in early August. We would meet once a week. We started writing sketches. We're practicing improv. There were 12 improv performers and sketch writers this time. And then the band started rehearsing in like late August, early September. And so they only had like 2 months to put together all the music for the show. And it was pretty incredible. Like up to a week before, we were like, is this going to work out? And of course, show night came around, and everybody really, all of our students and performers just knocked it out of the park. They like showed up. There were people who like didn't even know their lines for some of the sketches like a week before, and they really worked hard and they really committed, and they all came out, and we had a really rocking show. But yeah, as far as putting it on, Garth and I have been putting on events for 10 years now. So not saying like we're seasoned pros at it, but I am saying that, we've kind of done it a few times and we're getting better at putting on events, but we do need to get better at sponsors and helping, getting help. But yeah, we're always, Garth and I are always very focused on the creative aspect of it, the content. And so that's always why I think our shows and our films and our music and our recordings and everything we do comes off very professional, because that's what we're really good at, is creating the content, which you can all watch on YouTube. There's a whole bunch of short films that we've created, including the Benchwarm Nerds is actually on YouTube. We just released our first psychological thriller horror film, which we premiered on YouTube Halloween night. Last night.
Yeah.
And yeah, you can see that now on YouTube. There's music videos and all sorts of fun stuff. And yeah, we've got lots of content online.
Hey, Jason, for those that are watching this live stream or on audio and that they're interested possibly coming on as a sponsor in the future, what's the best way for them to contact you? And also, are you guys looking for volunteers for the Spec Labs going in 2025 as well?
Yeah, I mean, we're always looking for volunteers. Volunteers are amazing. They're, can't get enough. Like, really help put everything together. And as far as sponsors, yeah, I mean, the best way to get a hold of us is, just on our website alone, there's a contact button you can hit, and that goes right to Garth and I. Or you can email us at thespectrumlaboratory@gmail.com. Those are basically the best ways. Hit us up on our website or email us. And yeah, and if you're interested, we also have online courses. So even if you're not in Los Angeles, we have Spec Labs Online, which we just launched. Our voiceover acting classes launched online, and they're filled up. It's crazy. There's a lot of people who are not in Los Angeles jumping online, doing the online stuff. Next year, we're going to have music classes. I think I'm going to launch a screenwriting online program. So there's going to be quite a bunch of stuff online in the future. Yeah.
I think maybe it's possible that the voiceover teacher, Kathy McCauley, might be in the audience today.
Oh, yeah.
And if not, she'll probably be watching the replay. So hi, Kathy. And
yeah, Kathy, is the head of our voice acting program and has just been incredible. Joined us 5 or 6 years ago now, which is crazy to say. But yeah, before the pandemic, for sure. I was running the voiceover classes myself, and I'd have like guest people come, and then Kathy came in one day, and like everybody fell in love with Kathy, and she fell in love with us, and she's still around, and she's killing it. She's got a really amazing program where at any level you're at, any age, any ability, we can start you at the beginning level. Then we work up to basically an apprenticeship type of career prep program where you're auditioning, submitting yourself for auditions, recording demo reels, all sorts of fun stuff. So yeah, all of our programs are designed for any age, any ability, any level. So really you can come in and just have fun and explore, or we can train if you really want to find a career in the entertainment industry, or if you just want to build your artist portfolio, your presence, and get some songs online, or get an acting demo reel and meet an agent or a manager. We're just trying to help facilitate that. So I like to think of us as like an educational training program, but also we're in our program too, and we put on awesome shows and make great fun content.
Jason, could you take us back 10 years to the origin story of Spectrum Laboratory, back when you and Garth were just children? And
yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, we have this documentary, like mini documentary online on Spec Labs called like Spec Labs Year One or something. And when you look at Garth and I, I'm like, oh my God, we look so young.
Yay, there's Kathy.
Our hair wasn't nearly as gray.
Oh.
But yeah, it was basically like in 2014. Garth and I have been working together. Like Garth and I have known each other since high school. Like we've been friends for a long time. But I was working for another non-profit, a really cool nonprofit called the Miracle Project, and they do musical theater. And we were doing musical theater productions and writing plays. And Garth kind of came on. He applied for a job, and I saw him, and I brought him in, and we were making plays together. But my passion's always been in filmmaking, and his passion's always been on recording music and playing in bands. And we didn't do that really at Miracle Project. It was more like musical theater. And so Garth and I just kind of decided like, hey, what if we just did something that showcased the talent that we're meeting, all the autistic and neurodivergent voices that keep telling us, because they were young. I knew them as like kids. And then all of a sudden now they're 18, 19, 20 years old and they want a career. But it was crazy. 10 years ago in LA, there was no other program like this where they could actually learn how to submit for auditions or make demo reels or like just try to make short films and put them online and see what happens. Like there was nobody really doing that. So people kept saying to me, why don't you do it? Why don't you do it? You know? Yeah, I mean, basically we started with the idea of like a production studio. Garth and I wanted to like start a production studio, but then everybody was like, well, how are you going to get students? So we started the nonprofit with just like 2 classes, a music class and a film class, just kind of seeing like, all right, we had 6 students in our first class. And we had fun. We played music. We did some acting games. And over time, it's grown into, now we have 4 major departments: our film, our acting, our music, and our voiceover program. And we have over 13 or 14, 15 different types of classes, online, not. So those 6 students, our roster is now close to 80, which is really fun and amazing. And also our staff, like the people who work for us, we have like 15 or something, 16 people work for us, and more than half of them are on the spectrum themselves. Like like 70% of our workforce parity rate, if you know what that means, is on the spectrum. They identify as neurodivergent. So that's really cool for us, as well as we hire, and some of them were former students that we now hire to work in our classes and produce our music and help work on the films. So yeah, 10 years ago, that was kind of the idea of, hey, let's start a production studio. And it kind of became more of a school training program / production studio. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you this since we have you on, Jason. Can you tell our audience a little bit of difference between neurodivergent and autistic?
So autism is a diagnosis, right? Autism is ASD, autism spectrum disorder. So saying you're autistic means that you have a diagnosis. You have a autism spectrum disorder diagnosis. And a lot of people who are identify as neurodivergent, there's a lot of different things. So neurodivergent is the brain, centered around the brain, that your brain works a little differently, as they like to say, than I guess what we call a typical brain, whatever that means. But yeah, there's a lot of different things in the neurodivergent world that fall under neurodivergence, neurodiversity, whereas autism is, if you have that diagnosis. And I like to make that clear because I think they get muddled a lot. Neurodiversity can be anything from ADHD to folks with Down syndrome, to cerebral palsy, to different types of disabilities can fall under that, as well as intellectual disabilities and challenges. So I think a lot of the reason why neurodiversity is becoming more of a popular word is because autism spectrum has disorder in it. And a lot of people don't like the disorder. They don't like the disability as a negative term. So there's a lot of people who are considered those neurodivergent, and they're proud of the way their brain works. And they like to celebrate that, even though there's lots of challenges. It's, different. I'm different. I'm unique. I have my things that I love about myself. And it's, I'm a creative person, and celebrate differences. If we're all the same, it'd be really boring. So I think that's kind of why neurodiversity is a bigger umbrella. Autism tends to be, those who have, a lot of people get diagnosed as young as age 2 and 3 now with autism spectrum disorder up until adults. I have friends of mine who have recently been diagnosed as on the autism spectrum. So yeah, it's I hope that it's a little, clear where autism means, yes, you have ASD, and neurodiversity means there's a bunch of different things that fall under that category. Yeah.
Marlene?
Yes. I think there are many things that fall under the category of neurodiversity. I couldn't even name them all, but I'm thinking Tourette syndrome is also one of those. And and then autism is more I guess, more specific, a more specific diagnosis, but still subjective. It's not as if you can take a blood test and say, oh, this is how much autism you have in you, or a brain scan or anything like that. It still requires some nuance in the practice of medicine to receive a diagnosis, and then also what to do afterwards, how the treatment progresses and services and things like that. So what about if someone is interested, let's say, in studying either online or in person with Spectrum Laboratory, is there any special admission requirement? Do they need to give you some sort of paperwork with a diagnosis, or is anyone welcome to take classes, or how does that work?
Yeah, I mean, we are. Oh yeah, Kathy gets right. Anxiety disorder falls under neurodivergent. That's correct. Yeah, there's a lot of things that fall under neurodiversity.
Mm-hmm.
But it's also one of those things where a friend of mine, he's Dr. Stephen Shore. He kind of wrote Autism for Dummies. He's a Harvard professor, and he coined the term, if you've met one person with autism, you've met one person with autism. And so it's basically the whole idea now is in the medical world is like, I think the autism community and the neurodivergent community is like meet everyone one-on-one. So to answer the question, the reason I said that is because we're a very person-centered program, meaning we don't like have a curriculum that works for everyone. We meet everyone where they're at, whatever challenges they have or whatever talents they have. We kind of work with everyone individually. Yes, they're all in the class together, but doesn't mean we treat everyone the same. So I think that one thing that will help, it's not like medical scientific fields are going to find something that's going to help change it. It's basically like, working with everyone to figure out their strengths and what does work and person-centered. And so I think that as it grows and it evolves, those terms are going to change. It's always going to change. What is the right term in PC thing nowadays? Main thing I learned is everybody who comes to Spectrum Laboratory, we just treat them just as them. Like there's no like we need to see your diagnosis. There's no like, how much autism do you have? There's no like criteria. There's no like we have people who are in our classes who are not autistic. We have a lot of people who fall a big word is inclusion, right? So we're a very inclusive program, meaning in the bands we have professional musicians playing with our students, playing with all different types of people working together. It's the same way on the movies. Caroline, Jason's right. Spec Labs, her family. Yeah, you have been. She's been with us since like 2018.
Awesome.
So yeah, I mean, whatever you're into, you come and you're like, hey, I just want to play guitar in the band. Great. We'll figure that out. Or, hey, I just want to write, all right, well, let's do some writing and maybe we'll make your movie. And we just actually did that. There was a student who was a writer who wanted nothing to do but just write, and then ended up writing a script, and we ended up creating that film. That's House of Masks. That is online now. So basically it's just an arts program revolved around different types of jobs that are in the entertainment industry. And we try to just like help train them to make their way in as they can. And if it doesn't work in the, like throwing me into the Hollywood machine, it was a nightmare. I hated it. So I'm trying to make Spec Labs a Hollywood entertainment community of its own, so we can work together. And that's why we want a studio, and we want to make our own projects. And so we really give our students that experience of what it's like being on set or in a recording studio or recording on a microphone. And Kathy teaching them, what it would be like if you actually got a voiceover job and we're in a studio. This is what it'd be like. So when they get there, they're like, oh, it's just like it's Spec Labs. This is like that. So trying to set them up for success, but also realizing success in the entertainment industry is insanely difficult. And I think the industry is going through a lot of changes right now. It's just madness. It's not working. It's not a healthy environment. And so we're creating a healthy, fun environment here. And so hopefully we'll just keep growing and we'll get work coming to us. Yeah.
Jason, Tell
Go
us
ahead.
some more about your backstory. Jason was a child star, by the way. So
A child star.
yes, you were. Okay, you were a child.
I was a child actor, but
so
I mean, not
child
really. I
actor.
didn't start acting till like professionally until I was like 15. So I wouldn't
Okay, that's
consider myself a child actor. I knew a lot of child actors. I was surrounded by them living. I grew up in LA. I went to acting classes. I started auditioning for commercials and TV shows when I was 15 because my parents were like, we're not driving you to auditions when I was younger. So until you get your, yes, Kathy, the biggest thing, you find your tribe. Yes. Yeah. So yeah, my story is, I mean, I wanted to be an actor when I was a kid, but even my grandma told me when I was 5 years old, I watched E.T. and I said, I want to do that. And she was like, oh, be in the movie. And I was like, no, I want to make that. Like, so I think even at a young age, I knew I wanted to make movies. And when I saw Nightmare Before Christmas, which is all over my shirt, when I was a teenager, I was like, that was it for me. Everything, and it changed my life. That and Spaceballs.
1987.
I was like, all right, I want to make movies. I want to have fun. I want to make creative art, but I also want to laugh a lot. And I started doing a lot of work on commercials. I did a lot of commercials between the ages of 16 to 25. I did a ton of national commercials, and I appeared on some TV shows here and there and a couple films and stuff like that. And but then I kind of stopped acting in my early to mid 30s because I just hated auditioning. I didn't like going out there. And I started making independent films with my friends and people I met at acting classes, and I got more into directing, more into writing, more into producing, and really loved that aspect of it. And I still throw myself in stuff, or friends would ask me to act in things, and so I would do it. But yeah, I kind of stepped away from that. And
you're offer only. I'm that way too. I'm offer only too.
I'm offer only. Yes,
we have that.
And then and right around that time, I started Spec Labs. So that was also like when that happened. When I started Spec Labs, I really was like, I called my agent and was like, I'm not auditioning anymore. So I was like, when I started Spec Labs, I was basically like, yeah, I don't have time. I want to put all my focus into this. And so there's still a bit of me that, like, Kathy keeps telling me, like, jump in, do some voice acting. You should get an agent again and go out there and do it again. I still miss it a little bit. I love acting, but I get to put myself in Spec Lab stuff here and there, and I get to be creative with Spec Labs. So I don't feel like I really miss it because I'm doing it with Spec Labs.
Yeah, you are doing it. He has a role in House of Masks.
I threw myself in there.
Oh, yeah.
And in Benchwarm Nerds, I throw myself in
the
cameos. Benchwarm Nerds too. Like, we like to put ourselves
right. That's right. Like Stan Lee did that too. Remember, in all the Marvel movies, there would be a Stan Lee.
Yeah, the cameos.
And people so look forward to it. And I'm pretty sure he didn't have to audition for the role of Stan Lee. He could just go in there and do that. And it was a real crowd pleaser, just like you, Jason. You're the Stan Lee of Spec Labs.
That's a high claim. I appreciate that.
Hey, Jason.
How to be compared to Stan Lee, I'll take it.
That's awesome. Hey, Jason, before we get to the little video clip we're going to show, for those people that are watching this live stream on audio or on WQE 99.1 FM, and they're interested in getting into the entertainment industry, what advice would you give to somebody?
Well, Kathy just wrote it. Find your tribe, find your community. I mean, what helped me a lot with starting to make independent films was I met a bunch of people at my acting studio. So I went to this acting school at the time, which was a pretty big school, and I met a bunch of people, and some of them I still work with, and even some of them I've hired at Spectrum Laboratory to teach classes and work with me. But I found a really cool community at this really amazing acting school in LA. And we were making movies there and, making films together. So that was kind of my first community that I really felt. And then I think because of that community, I honestly is why I've had some success with creating a community at Spec Labs, is because I knew how much that community changed my life and turned me into more of a content creator and a director and a producer and filmmaker. And that's what we're trying to do at Spec Labs, is find your community, find, like-minded, awesome people who want to create and tell stories. And I think one of the things about our community, that there's just so many amazing stories. Like, you know, I know that all of our students could make an amazing film or an amazing song because they have so much, you know, creative inspiration and stories and just ideas. And so really we're kind of just help bring it out, you know, help bring those stories out, help show them how to make it. And, you know, and so that would be my number one word of advice, more than like getting an agent or like go take headshots or go. I mean, the number one thing is find a cool community of people wherever you're at. It doesn't have to be in LA. There's lots of cool theater companies out there all over the world that you can get involved with or take acting classes somewhere. So that's the best way to learn. And, you know, if you got the inkling and you want to direct or write or anything, just grab I mean, you can make movies on your freaking cell phone nowadays. So yeah.
And podcasts,
you know, just create. Jorge Gutierrez, who designed all this, he came and did a workshop and spoke to our students, which was amazing. And his number one thing was just create, just do, just make art, just keep going. So as long, it doesn't matter. Like, don't treat everything you do like your baby or you know, this is going to be my opus. It's like, just make stuff, just start creating, putting it out there. Most of it's going to be terrible, but maybe one or two out of the 20 you make will be amazing and something will hit. But if you just hold on to one little thing, you know,
be consistent too. Be consistent. Whatever you're doing, be consistent.
Like, you know, and I think that's what Garth and I, one of the reasons why we've grown in this way up is because we're constantly putting on shows and creating movies and music, and we don't stop, you know. We're just all year long.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
interrupt
you. I was just excited, and I don't want to forget to shout out the Laugh Factory and Jamie Masada and David Fuhrer for the opportunity that they gave to Spec Labs, and not just Spec Labs, but the whole autism community with the neurodivergent comedy night that we did in September. And then just a few weeks later, Laugh Factory, this is the big Laugh Factory in Hollywood, the iconic one on Sunset Boulevard, hosted Spectrum Laboratory for a combined improv show. So the improv team performed live on stage on the historic stage, and then there was the premiere of House of Masks, the short film. And so that was just a magical evening. And we're grateful for those people who see the potential and the talent and want to contribute. Cool.
Laugh Factory. It's like one of the most iconic comedy stages in the world. And yeah, we were showing our movie there and doing our improv stuff on stage. It was such a fun night.
Any plans to expand or come to Canada one day?
I mean, who knows? I mean, with this online, the potential's huge, you know? So it's like, really, I mean, you know, back in the day, it was like franchising or satelliting, you know, that was the way to grow and expand. But now everybody's getting so used to doing everything online. I think there's a lot of potential for Spec Labs to grow online and meet more artists around the world online. And then when we get our big production studio in Los Angeles, then they can come. You know, maybe they'll have a script they write and then we get funding and we produce their movie or whatever. Or there's a song they're writing and they come out for a weekend and go in the studio and record it with us. So there's a lot of potential of like meeting a lot more artists online than satelliting different studios around. It also is a lot more expensive to do that. So hopefully, like through our online expansion and, you know, having a studio in LA is the base and just meeting more people, I think that's what's going to happen. Yeah, Kathy, I talked about voiceover is currently online. Talked about
I'm learning how to do voiceover, so maybe I should get in touch with Kathy or you because I'm trying to get better at it, and that's something I want to improve upon.
Yeah, that especially online can grow because voiceover now, I mean, you can get jobs and do it from home. So it's
like I'm doing my radio show from home.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those that makes the most sense as far as like how artists at Spec Labs can grow, as well as I think, you know, music, because Not a lot of days now, albums are created with somebody living in New York and somebody living in LA, and they're just recording in their home studio and sending the tracks, and then they're putting the songs together. Like, people are making albums and they're not even in this, same studio. So it's pretty cool nowadays what you can do online.
There's a new educational partner with Autism and Entertainment. I don't know if I mentioned this to you, Jason, but it's called Game U, and they've been around about 12 years, but they're based in New Jersey. And before the pandemic, they had about 20 satellite physical locations where they would teach students on the autism spectrum and neurotypical as well. They would teach about video game development and coding and other adjacent pursuits like Microsoft PowerPoint and things like that. And then during the pandemic, they reconfigured their business, of course, because most people did. They had to make everything online. And then they just kept it that way. They closed all of their centers. I think maybe they have one flagship open, like their home base.
Yeah, they do everything online now.
Yeah. And so they much prefer it that way. It's been easier for them, I think, to scale up and to expand. And so they're also open to partnerships and things like that. So another entity for you to meet and network with. And
yeah, I've talked with some of the people at Game U. Yeah.
Oh, you did? Oh,
in the past. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah. Interesting business there.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, Jason, before we wrap this up, because I know you got to go in a few minutes, I would like to play a video clip that was done from Spectrum News last year about Specoween. I thought it was well done, and it's about 4 minutes long. And once we play it, if you can just give us a comment or two, and then we'll wrap it up. And on behalf of Marlene and myself, I want to say thank you so much for coming on here tonight. Appreciate it.
Oh, of course. Thanks for having me. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes.
Spectrum News. Yeah, this was a feature on Specoween from last year. Yeah.
Just let me know if you guys can hear the audio okay.
All right, it's time for What's Good. And for people on the autism spectrum, art can be a powerful tool for communication. And a local group is helping students find their voices and access opportunities in the entertainment industry. Amy Paffrath is here to tell us all about it in this morning's What's Good. Good morning, Amy.
Good morning. Yes, Spectrum Laboratory celebrates neurodiversity and inclusion in the arts with many programs like the Spec Band and an improv troupe. Now the group of talented performers is working hard on a spooky good show they're calling Specoween.
Art is the language of emotions. Music certainly helps rocker Dominique Brown access a different part of himself.
It makes you feel good. It makes you move and groove. It just, gives you a good energy.
Today he's rehearsing with the Spec Band, a group of performers on the autism spectrum. Music is in the singer-songwriter's DNA. His dad was a rapper, and he claims Marvin Gaye as a distant relative on his mom's side. Dom says that, like his bandmates, he's always been drawn to instruments.
Kids, they always ask for Power Rangers or video games. I just ask for guitars and drums and keyboards.
Dominique has been playing guitar and singing with this band since 2016. It's one of many artistic platforms offered by Spectrum Laboratory, a nonprofit co-founded by music director Garth Herberg. He's been playing keys since he was a toddler and always felt music opened people up.
For so many people, music is like a very vital language and form of expression for them. And it can be easier to tap into that and find joy and find connection than it can't be otherwise. I'll see you.
That was the inspiration back in 2015 when Garth and pal actor Jason Weissbrod founded Spec Labs, thinking it would be a production company and recording studio. They soon realized they needed to train their talent, and it grew into what it is today, an organization that nurtures performers on the spectrum and connects them with entertainment opportunities in everything from animation to voiceover to improv comedy. Actress Chelsea Darnell joined the group last year. She says it's a chance for her to work alongside artists who understand her on a deeper level.
I've been lucky to have been in very supportive environments wherever I go, but it's fun to have like other people on the spectrum because like you can relate on certain things.
She especially appreciates how Jason encourages talent to stretch themselves. Chelsea wrote a sketch that will appear in the group's upcoming Halloween-themed show, where Dominique will be doing double duty, playing with the band and acting on stage. Garth calls Dom the glue of the group and admits his longtime friend has been the inspiration for all of this. When they first met a decade ago, he showed Garth a binder full of hundreds of songs, a few of which ended up on a record he recently recorded with the help of Spec Labs.
Just being around people that all have a dream and that aren't afraid to show who they are.
When we find commonality through art, something harmonious happens.
Learn more about Spectrum Laboratory and all of their incredible programming at speclabs.org.
All right, Amy, well, tell us about the upcoming Halloween theme show.
It's going to be a lot of fun. It's happening this Sunday, October 29th at Barnesdale Art Park. You can catch Spec-O-Ween, complete with live music and comedy, and special guest Tom Kenny and the High Seas. Tom Kenny is famously the voice of SpongeBob SquarePants. Tickets are on sale now at speclabs.org.
All right, very special appearance there. All right, Amy, thank you so much for that.
My pleasure.
Thoughts on this video, Jason?
Oh no, it's I love that piece. A lot of good stuff said by Dom there and Chelsea and Garth and Chelsea. It's crazy. Chelsea is now. I was talking about how we bring a lot of our students on staff and as assistant instructors and stuff. And Chelsea is now working. Like she wrote another sketch this year, and Chelsea's working for us now. And she's in my film program as an assistant instructor, and is now in the improv. She's an assistant instructor. So sometimes when people will come in and, you know, we'll just see so much talent and so much creativity, and that's what Chelsea wanted, was looking for work. And so we like when we give that opportunity to people. So like my comment from that is like, oh yeah, Chelsea now works with us. Now she was like a student there, but now she's working. So, and that's a quick growth. I mean, she was, only a couple of years she was with us before we put her on our team. I mean, it's a great piece.
I wish we had more time with you, Jason, too, but we're going to wrap it up with a couple more questions. And sure. Marlene and I are going to ask you, what are some fun facts about yourself and Spec Labs?
Fun facts about myself and Spec Labs. Well, you heard the cool story in the video of Dominique. Dominique Brown was one of the big inspirations of starting Spectrum Laboratory. So that's awesome. A fun fact. Another cool fun fact is Dominique Brown is also on the Netflix show Atypical, and I coached him. I helped him get the audition, and I coached him for that audition. And then a bunch of more of our Spec Labbers got on the show over the years as well. Brandon Rodriguez got a co-star part, and then Spencer Hart was on the show as a recurring role as the peer group. And so, fun facts about me. I already said my favorite band is Ween. So said that earlier. That's a fun fact. Another fun fact is I was a bartender at the El Rey Theater in Los Angeles for almost 15 years. So I used to go out and see a lot of live music. I love going and seeing concerts and live music. I do kind of miss it, but I don't miss the bartending that much.
Favorite drink to make?
I had to stop. Pandemic kind of stopped that from happening. That was a good thing that came out of the pandemic.
Favorite drink to make as a bartender?
Favorite drink to make or to drink?
Both.
Favorite drink this is the best bartender answer. Favorite drink to make as a bartender is just like a vodka soda, because it's easy and it's quick. You just make it. Because in a concert venue, you're just pouring like crazy. And when somebody comes in and is like, make a margarita or a daiquiri, you're like, just it takes longer. I like to sip on mezcal though. That's my guilty drink. Don't drink as much these days, but when I do, I like a little mezcal.
Hey, Marlene, I'm going to let you close off the show with Jason here with a question. You don't have to use the one I prepared, so I'll let you close it off. But hey, I want to say thank you to Cassie and Caroline and everybody who
Yes,
watched this
thank
live
you,
stream
Kathy and
and on
Caroline.
audio. Really appreciate it. I'll let you close it off, Marlene, with Jason.
Oh, I just wanted to give a little shout out, and then Jason could piggyback if he wants to, on just say that a lot of the casting for Netflix's hit show Love on the Spectrum was done out of Spec Labs. It's a reality show, but there's a casting element that goes into most reality shows. And
that's a fun fact.
Yeah, that's super fun.
I mean, Keon, who's a creator and director and now has Emmys, hit me up and was like, he was from Australia. They did the Australian version. And then he was like, I hear you have this thing called Spectrum Laboratory. Can I come? And he came with like this little camcorder and came to our classes and like filmed Danny Bowman's class that she was teaching at Spec Labs. That's a fun fact about Spec Labs. Danny Bowman, who is on Love on the Spectrum, taught animation for about almost 6 years with Spectrum Laboratory.
Long time. Wow.
Yeah. And then she started her own program, Danimation. So now she's off doing Danimation and is doing amazing. And then Abby Romeo from Love on the Spectrum, Keon found her. She was singing in the band with Garth. And he was like, who's Abby? She's fun. And I'm like, oh yeah, I've known Abby since she was like 11 or 12.
Wow.
And there's a bunch of other people that, you know, they interviewed. They saw a lot of our students for the show. They wanted a lot of our students on the show. Some said yes, some said no. But yeah.
Devin Morrissey is another one who's been Devin. Yep.
Yeah, Devin Morrissey we know Devin, and Devin's awesome. And I think Caroline has been chiming in on here, actually went on a date for season 3, but
really,
I don't know if we're gonna see her or not. We might see her on season 3.
Oh, yay!
And they even filmed some Spec Labs classes, but they didn't show it on the show because they wanted to just stay focused on the love stories. So Caroline, thanks. Yeah, I'm a good dancer. Thanks.
Yeah.
That's the fun fact she wanted people to know. I'm a good dancer. Thanks, Caroline.
Thanks for the intel, Caroline.
Yeah, thanks. But yeah, so that's a cool fun fact. We've been involved with a lot of like really cool clients. Like we did some pieces for Sesame Street. Our music some music composers did some music for Sesame Street. We've worked for doing some music scoring for the Special Olympics and
amazing
other like really cool clients. And so we've gotten a lot of freelance work for a bunch of our artists in acting, voice acting, and music scoring. So we hope that'll continue. It will continue over the years. Yep.
Hey, Jason, you have an open invite to come back on our show again. And I'm serious about coming down to LA next year and being part of this event. I think what you're doing is great. And where can our audience follow you on social media and your website? Because I know you got to get going. So we'll wrap this up.
Yeah, no, sure. Instagram, we've got a pretty good Instagram page at Spectrum_Laboratory. Facebook, for whoever goes on there, we're on Facebook. Marlene is helping us with our LinkedIn page, so you can contact myself or Marlene through LinkedIn.
Awesome.
But then YouTube, we have a ton of, like I said, videos to watch, short films and behind the scenes and live music performances and music videos all over our Spectrum Laboratory YouTube page.
Kathy's reminding us of Speech Kingdom.
Speech Kingdom. Oh yeah, that was one of our voiceover jobs. So we've been they're an app that does speech therapy, and we've a bunch of our voice actors have worked on that for 3-4 years now. So yeah, we're constantly working on outside gigs. But yeah, you can find us on all that stuff. You can listen to our music just on Amazon. You say, hey, Amazon, play Spectrum Laboratory, or hey, Alexa, play Spectrum Laboratory, and a bunch of music will come up on that and on Spotify. So you can hear our music, watch our films all over the internet, and visit our website at speclabs.org for the latest news.
Jason, thank you so much. And Marlene, thank you as well. Jason, continued success. And we'll
Chris.
definitely keep in touch. And I'm definitely making it a bucket list to get down to Los Angeles next year. I have more friends in California than I do in Canada.
All the guests from our show pretty much are from here. So yeah.
Very cool.
All right,
thank
Jason.
You, Chris. Thank you, Marlene. This was
Thank
really
you.
nice.
Oh, thank you, Jason. Yes, and give our best to Garth, and thank you, Kathy and Caroline.
Yeah, thanks, Kathy and Caroline, for jumping in and supporting. Much love.
Awesome. And Jason, I will do video, audio clips, reels of this tonight before I go to Toronto in the morning, and I will pass them on to Marlene, and hopefully she can share them to you as well.
All right, you got it.
Thank you so much, Jason. Have a good night.
All right. Have a wonderful weekend, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, Jason.
Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Marlene, final thoughts before we wrap up our second season, episode 10 tonight.
Oh, wow. It's our 10 episode anniversary. So happy anniversary, Chris. We
Hard
made
to believe. 10
to
episodes.
10 episodes. Wow.
Absolutely.
And this was a wonderful number 10 with Jason. And so many, he has so many bragging rights these days. We didn't even scratch the surface, but it was a very enlightening conversation. I learned stuff about Jason that I didn't know, and also about Spec Labs, and it was all around a good time. So thank you. Thank you, Chris.
Well, thank you for getting some great guests. You're helping me out as well, doing 3 shows. You're a big help with getting some amazing guests. And what I love about doing with all my shows is having guests on, connecting with them. And the biggest thing is learning something new from my guests. And I really enjoyed this tonight. And hopefully we can get a couple more shows done before Christmas, which is December 25th, which isn't that far away now.
No, not at all. Just a little over a month. And we'll be closing out the year. We'll be coming up on our 1-year anniversary before you know it.
Absolutely. We got one more final comment from Caroline Corey. Woo.
Woo.
So thank you,
Caroline.
Thank you, everybody, for watching this live streamed and on audio and on WQE 99.1 FM. Marlene and I will be back maybe by the end of November, beginning of December for our 11th episode. And hopefully we can do a 12th episode before December 25th as well. But Marlene, just want to say thank you so much for doing this. Make sure you take Blanche out for a walk and give her some treats. And we'll talk to you soon on social media.
Sounds good. All right. Thanks, everyone. And thanks, Chris.
Thanks, Marlene. Have a good night. We'll talk to you soon.
You too.
All right, guys. And before we wrap this up, the next live with CDP Sports and Entertainment Talk Show, sponsored by BarryCullen.com, is Monday, November 4th at 7 p.m. Eastern with my special guest, Mezzy Desvines. She is a stand-up comedian out of Long Island, New York. I hope I didn't butcher her last name, but I'm really looking forward to having Mezzy Desvines, a stand-up comedian, on from out of Long Island, New York, 7 o'clock on Monday. And also, guys, before I wrap this up, I will be doing some media coverage of the Toronto Argonauts, Ottawa Redblacks CFL East semifinal game tomorrow at 3 o'clock. So please check out my social media pages for pictures, videos, and some pre and post game interviews. And Caroline and Cassie, thank you on behalf of Marlene and myself and Jason for coming on here tonight as well. Thank you so much to Jason Weissbrod from Spectrum Labs for coming on, and Marlene Sharp for arranging this show. And I want to say thank you to everyone watching this again on Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitch, Twitter, X, and on Instagram, and on all major audio platforms. And this show will be available on WQE 99.1 FM in Noonan, Georgia next week. And Marlene and I, the co-host and producer of the Small Talk podcast, are looking for businesses and companies to come along and sponsor our show. If you're interested, please contact Marlene through her Twitter account. You can follow us on Twitter, myself at Chris D. Pomay, and Marlene at Diva with a capital D, Marlene70. And you can check out our website, please, pinkpoodlesproductions.com. That's Pink Poodles, pinkpoodleproductions.com. And again, thank you to Jason Weissbrod from Spectrum Labs and Marlene Sharp for arranging this. And I really appreciate everyone watching and listening to the Small Talk podcast, which is on WQEE 99.1 FM. I hope everybody has a great Friday night, great weekend, and we'll see you all back here by the end of November, beginning of December for season 2, episode 11 of the Small Talk podcast with Marlene Sharp and Chris Pomay. Have a great night, great weekend, everybody, and we'll see you in a month's time for another edition of the Small Talk podcast.